Chapter 2: The Harvest of Shadows. The workshop didn't just smell like grease. It smelled like old, tired iron and something organic that had been left to bake under the corrugated roof. Ben's heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. Across the room, Marcus was still paralyzed, staring at the pit where a man in a ruined suit was shivering in the dark. "Ben!" Marcus's voice was a dry rasp. "His hands! Look at his hands!" Ben glanced down. The man in the pit didn't have fingernails. They had been neatly, surgically removed. Before Ben could process the horror, the heavy iron bolt on the workshop door slammed home. Clang! The sound echoed, final and cold. Outside, Kara's muffled scream was cut short by a heavy, wet thud. "Kara!" Ben lunged for the door, throwing his shoulder against the metal. It didn't budge. It felt like hitting a mountain. A low, rhythmic vibration started beneath their feet. It wasn't the generator this time. It was something larger, deeper in the earth. From the rafters above, dust filtered down, coating Ben's sweaty skin in a gray film. Then the shadow shifted. The thresher didn't drop from the ceiling like an acrobat. He descended slowly, his massive weight supported by a rusted industrial chain hoist. He wore the bull mask, a hollowed-out skull with jagged asymmetrical horns. Through the eye sockets, Ben saw nothing but a flat, predatory darkness. The giant reached a gloved hand to his belt and unhooked a device that looked like a cross between a surgical bone saw and a hedge trimmer. He pulled a short cord. Rip, rip, vroom! The sound was high-pitched, a mechanical shriek that made Ben's teeth ache. "Get behind the milling machine!" Ben shouted, grabbing a heavy steel pipe from a scrap pile. He knew a pipe wouldn't stop a man that size, but he needed something, anything, between them and that blade. The thresher stepped off the chain, his boots clomping on the steel grates. He didn't rush. He moved with the slow, methodical pace of a man who knew his prey had nowhere to go. He tilted his head, the bull's horns casting a long, demonic shadow across the tool wall. "Why are you doing this?" Ben yelled, his voice cracking. "We have money! We have a car! Just let us go!" The thresher stopped. He made a sound, a wet, bubbling huff through the mask. It might have been a laugh. He pointed the buzzing saw at the pit where the man in the suit sat. He doesn't talk." A wheezing voice came from a speaker mounted high in the corner. It was the old man from the porch. "The boy had his tongue harvested 3 years back. Corporate policy, you understand. Non-disclosure is very important in our line of work." Ben felt a cold sweat break across his neck. Corporate policy? This wasn't just a family of lunatics. This was an operation. Suddenly, the thresher lunged. For a man of his size, he moved with terrifying explosiveness. The saw swung in a wide horizontal arc, sparking violently as it bit into the steel leg of the milling machine, then dived to the left, the heat of the blade singing the back of his shirt. "Marcus, the window! Break the glass!" Marcus scrambled toward a small, grime-streaked window high on the back wall, but the thresher was already repositioning. He didn't follow Ben. Instead, he kicked a lever on the floor. With a screech of rusting gears, the floor grates began to slide. "Ben!" Marcus screamed as the floor vanished beneath him. He caught the edge of the pit with his fingertips, his legs dangling over the man in the suit. The thresher turned toward Marcus, the saw idling with a hungry chug, chug, chug. He raised the blade, aiming not for Marcus's head, but for his hands. "No!" Ben charged. He swung the steel pipe with every ounce of terror-fueled strength he had. It connected with the back of the thresher's knee. There was a sickening crack. The giant buckled, dropping to one knee. The saw hit the floor, its teeth chewing a jagged hole into the wood. For a second, there was silence. Then the thresher turned his head. The bull mask was splattered with oil. He didn't groan in pain. He just reached out, grabbed the steel pipe in one massive hand, and twisted it like it was made of tin foil. He looked at Ben, and for the first time, Ben saw the eyes behind the mask. They weren't crazy. They were bored. The giant stood up, his legs snapping back into place with a wet, rubbery sound. He picked up his saw. "Run, Marcus!" Ben hauled his brother up from the pit. They didn't go for the door. They dived through the hole the saw had chewed in the wall, tumbling out into the blinding Texas sun and the razor-sharp stalks of the overgrown cornfield. Behind them, the saw roared back to life, and the old man's laughter crackled over the speakers, echoing across the dead land.